our little tape player, and as far as I knew, it wasn't any more use, but we've had a little fiddle around and tried it out, and I understand we can still get something that you may just be able to hear okay. Anyway, it's Sunday, July the 6th. It's been raining all day long, and we haven't really been doing much today, just having a bit of mooch round. Went out shopping to buy a few souvenirs this morning, because it won't be long before we're on our way back home. And I just come out into the bedroom for a bit of peace and quiet, and Ben's come in here with me because Kimberly and Sam are outside in the lounge watching the television. It's rather amusing. It's some, you know, that American thing with the two guys on the motorbikes, the policemen, but the speaking is all dubbed in Korean, so you can see all the action, but can't understand a word that's going on. Anyway, as I said, Ben didn't want to watch that. He wanted to come in here with me. And he's here now, and he's going to say a few words to you. So, coming over a bit closer, Ben, and not too close, and I'll pass over to Ben, and he's going to say a few words.
Hello, Nana and Granddad. I hope you're having a nice time in England. Anyway, at school, nearly when we had finished for summer vacation, we had a picnic. We were playing tug of war and our team won it. And we were playing a donut game.
Well, how did you play that, Ben? Tell us about the donut game.
Well, you get inside the donuts, it's shaped like a donut, and other people have got to push it. There's handles in there that you could hold on to.
Oh, it's not a donut you eat then?
No.
Oh, it's just shaped like a donut?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we've got to push it, and you could crawl or you could go head over heels.
Oh,
Bye-bye for now.
was that all you're going to say?
Yes.
Huh?
Bye-bye.
You're going to come on again later, are you?
I'm coming on later, okay?
Ah, good.
Bye-bye.
Good. Anyway, that was Ben's first little message, and I dare say the rest of the family will be joining in later on, but it's getting fairly near bedtime now. It's getting about 7 o'clock on the Sunday evening, so we'll be putting Sam and Kimberly, Ben off to bed soon. They still all go off to bed sometime between 7 and 7:30 because we didn't want to get them out of the habit, not like the Korean children here who don't seem to go to bed until about 10 o'clock. But you know what our two are like, if they don't get their night's sleep, they're impossible the next day, get very crotchety. So we still try to retain them going to bed at between 7 and 7:30, and they still get their 10 or 11 hours sleep a night, hopefully. We still have our story every night. That's a regular routine, and Kimberly joins in there. I don't think she can understand anything that's going on, but she likes to sit on my lap while I'm reading the story to the boys anyway. Now, I've heard some creeping and crawling up behind me, and I see that Samuel's just come on into the room. I think either the television finished, or else this must have proved a greater attraction. So, I'm going to call over Sammy. Do you know what you're going to say to Nana and Grandad, Sam? Now, come and sit around here then. And Nana and Grandad are on the other end of that tape, listening to us. Ben said a little message, so over to you now. You can have a word.
Hello, Nan and Grandad. We've got a little sister called Kimberly. We play with her very nice. She is a nice sister. And a friend of ours has got a sister with a bad arm. And that's called Lynn.
Oh, Lynn. Oh, yes, this is Lynn and Ed, you know, our friends down the base. They've also decided to adopt a little Korean girl from the same orphanage that we did. There was a little girl down there who was very, very nice, a bit younger than Kimberly, but she had something wrong with her arm. And the doctor said that, you know, it was silly taking somebody who had a disability, although we never actually had it examined. We just mentioned it to him, so we don't know whether that was likely to be a problem or not. But anyway, they're going through the procedure now to try to adopt this little girl. They've only just started, but of course they're going to be here for another year in Korea, so they shouldn't have any problems at all getting that established. And in fact, I'm going to phone the Adoption Society tomorrow on their behalf, because I know the woman there, to get some forms and things sent down for them so they can get that all started off. Well, we've been joined by the rest of the family now. Jane has just come in and Kimberly. So I've sat Kimberly down in front and she's going to say a few things, but I'm afraid she won't say anything unless I say them first and she just repeats them. So first of all, she's going to say hello. So, hello Nana.
Hello, Nana.
Oh, that was very good. Now, can you say hello Grandad?
Hello, Daddy.
No, not hello Daddy. Hello Grandad.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello Daddy. Well, that'll have to do. That'll have to do. Now then, say Kimberly here. Kimberly Urjo. No, Kimberly here. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Right, now, I'm going to sign you off now, so I think you'd better say goodbye. So can you say goodbye, Nana?
Hello, Nana.
No, bye-bye, Nana.
Bye-bye.
Nana?
Hello.
Bye-bye, Nana.
Hello, bye-bye.
Oh, dear. What about bye-bye, Grandad?
Hello, bye-bye. No.
Oh, dear. Anyway, you can see what progress or lack of progress we're making at the moment, but you can hear she's a bit of a giggler. She doesn't talk very much, but she certainly giggles a lot. So anyway, I'm going to stop now and play that back, see what it sounds like. See you in a minute. Now, we've got the children here, just a little before bedtime, and Ben and Sam both thought they'd like to read to you. And it must be some months now since you heard their last bit of reading, so you'll be able to measure any progress that there's been. So first of all, Ben's going to come along, and he's going to read, he'll read a couple of paragraphs of the current book that he's reading, and this is a story about Robin Hood. Right, over you go, Ben.
Hello, Nana and Grandad. I just wanted to read you a story called Robin Hood and the Silver Arrow. Here we go. Under a great tree in the forest, Robin Hood lay looking up through the leaves at the blue sky. His men sat round in little groups, sharpening their arrows and mending their bows and talking to one another. Suddenly there was a rustling in the leaves, and down the path ran one of the outlaws. "Master!" he called as he came up and threw himself beside Robin Hood. "I bring news from Nottingham." "What news?" asked Robin, sitting up as the other outlaws gathered round to listen. "The Sheriff of Nottingham is to hold a contest. There is to be a shooting match, and the prize is a silver arrow tipped with gold feathers, and Sheriff has invited all the best archers in the land to take part of the boasts. That his own archers will carry off the prize."
Okay, Ben, I think that's very good. Whoa, hold on, because we've got to get the others on here in a minute. But I think that was very good. I think there's one or two little mistakes in there that I couldn't stop you on. But I think all in all, that's very good progress. What do you think of that, Mum and Dad? Anyway, we've got Kimberly all lined up with a book here. I think the best I can say about her reading is that at least she holds the book the right way up, sometimes. So she's just sat down in front now, and she is going to give you a sample of her Korean reading. And she is reading from one of Sammy's little Kathy and Mark reading books, and this is Little Red Book number 3. Okay, Kimberly, you give her a read now. Oh, that was nice. Come on, let's have some more. Yeah, turn over the page and have some more. Come on, that's very good. Very good. Oh, you want a different book? Different book. Oh, hang on, we've run out of that book. What about this one? Oh, this one then. We'll put that down. Now sit down there. Oh, good. Now this is Meg's car then, okay? Meg's car. Yeah. Come on. Oh, turn over the page. What have we got there? Come on, last page. Yes, sugar? Kamunda. I don't know what that means, my sweet. Anyway. That was very good. Have you finished now? Okay, we'll turn this off and play it back, see what it sounds like. Okay? Say bye-bye, Nana.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Well, at this point, we got Sammy to do a bit of reading, but I'm afraid on playing it back, it didn't sound very good, and he made quite a few mistakes. So we've decided to erase it, and Jane will have another try with him early in the morning, perhaps when he's concentrating a little more. Anyway, we've got the children off to bed now, and Jane and I have had a shower, and we're sitting here with a gin and tonic.
A tin of peanuts.
A nice tin of peanut, American peanuts. So we're with a limited amount of time left now, we're making sure that we clear up all the bits and pieces we've got around. So I think we'll be...
So we're getting drunk every night.
Getting drunk every night.
Fatter.
You hear this next to me, this is Jane. She hasn't said hello yet, so she
Oh no, I
can't say
haven't,
hello.
have I? Hi there, Mum and Dad. Sorry about that, I completely forgotten I hadn't even spoken to you yet. I think Douglas wanted me to talk while he had another handful of peanuts, actually. He seems to think I'm eating more than he is. Anyway, we were a little bit disappointed that we couldn't get back on the date we planned to. You get keyed up for coming back, and in your mind you're coming back, and all of a sudden you have a change of plans, and it means an extra 2 months. And especially as it meant the hottest 2 months of the year. But no doubt, with all the packing and planning that I've now got to sort out, the time will soon go. Unfortunately, when I went to pick up a pass from the base for 2 of our friends here, I was told that new passes were not going to be issued, or at least there was a 99% chance that new passes were not going to be issued after the end of July. So during August, unless we can get somebody to sign us on, we will not be allowed on the base anymore. So it's just as well that we're coming home at the time we are. I know that some of the people we've met here are going to miss it dreadfully, but there is a 1% chance it could all revert back again, but somehow I don't think so. Although we have plenty of friends at the base now, it's going to be a bit of a bind, just having to phone up every time to get one of them to come down and sign us in. It's something that neither I nor Douglas like doing very much. But still, anyway, it's only for 4 weeks, and perhaps I'll find it so hot that we'll just stay here at the apartment swimming pool, although it's not quite so clean as the base one, and obviously we don't meet the friends here either. Right, a little bit on the brighter side now. We, as you heard from Benjamin, he's now finished school for the summer, and we had his end of year report, and it really is an excellent report. He should feel very proud of it. It's in very, very great detail, and a much fuller report than the ones you've seen copies of. And I think it's going to stand him in good stead when he goes back to Nayland once they've read it. Most of his, I'll just read them out very briefly to you. His social adjustment has been marked as excellent. His reading is above level. His work habits, usually excellent. I think this usually applies to the last few weeks in term, because when they lost their teacher, as you know, had to go back to America to have treatment on cancer, the children didn't seem to be able to concentrate. Excuse me. Didn't seem able to concentrate as well. Probably they missed her more than one realised. But anyway, it did seem, from what Betty told us, the new teacher, also our friend as you know, that most of the children lacked concentration during those few weeks of term, last few weeks of term. Anyway, usually excellent is good enough. Spelling, he's got excellent. Language, at level, that is. That's not above level or below, that's at level, so he's just even on that one. Penmanship, he's got good. Marks on that are poor, fair, good or excellent, so he's just got a good on that one. His written English, usually excellent, and his oral English, usually excellent. And then it just gives a load of detail on what he's actually covered this term. And we're very pleased with what he has covered this term, because referring back to the notes the headmaster of Nayland gave us when we left England, Benjamin has gone past that. And in fact, as in his class at school they have kindergarten, first and second grade, and he's been in first grade, they've given him second grade work to do, because he's obviously gone past the first grade standard. So he's been doing very well and has been allowed to advance, for which we're very grateful. Anyway, so now Samuel's report on his school from London, I've just written off his final report and still waiting for it, but I think I'm going to get fairly good remarks from Samuel. He has quite an extensive vocabulary now, and his writing is really good, as you've seen. So altogether the education side of it has gone very, very well. Let's hope Kimberly can manage to pick it up quickly. We do have, obviously she has a few emotional problems to get over first. She's had a bit of a hard life, but once she's suddenly realised that she's with us for keeps and there's no more backwards and forwards to the orphanage, we've no doubt that she'll soon pick things up fairly quickly. She certainly has changed from a very sad little girl to a very happy little girl very, very quickly, and we are thankful for that alone just at the present. Well, there must be loads to say, but my mind's gone a blank a little. Oh, I'm still having things done by the sew lady. She does quite well, and she has to do quite a few alterations, but on the whole she's still a lot cheaper than getting things done at home. And of course the material is so much cheaper here. We've done a lot of shopping for the boys' clothes and shorts and trousers and jumpers and Kimberly's dresses for future years, so let's hope we won't have to spend too much when we get back to England. By the sound of it, the prices have rocketed, so we hope we've staved off inflation to an extent. Anyway, it's my turn to nibble the peanuts. Are there any left, darling? Crikey, just a handful left. Anyway, here comes Douglas. I'm sure he has a few more interesting things to say. Bye-bye for now, Mum and Dad. Be back later.
Yes, I'm just finishing off these peanuts.
Before I get too fat,
Just empty my mouth. But they're very nice. We'll have to try to bring you a couple of tins back, because I know you like your peanuts. And these are, so we get them in the snack bar. They're Planters cocktail peanuts, and very delicious they are too. Right, just let me finish crunching on one. Anyway, Jane was saying about our extra time out here. I hope it didn't come as too much as a shock or a surprise to you when I had to write and say that we were staying on another 8 weeks. It was funny how it came about, really, because we were a little bit anxious with the adoption that we wouldn't get it all tied up in time before we were due to leave at the end of June. And so, in fact, I asked the company whether I could stay on for another 4 weeks, or up to 4 weeks if necessary, to tie up all the paperwork and everything. But when they got round to looking at the situation, they still hadn't taken on a replacement production manager for me. And in fact, when the project manager came out from England, he asked me if I would stay on another 8 weeks to give them an opportunity to find a Korean production manager. I don't know why they want the 8 weeks. They've had since last November to get one, but this is typical CAV style, leaving everything to the last minute. So, that really worked out quite fine, because I said we wanted the extra time to ensure that we could tie up the adoption details. And so what would be asked to stay on for another 8 weeks, that worked out reasonably well. But while I'm talking about the adoption, up until now everything has gone extremely well, until a couple of days ago when we had rather a nasty shock, and we're faced with I suppose what is quite a serious problem at the moment, but hopefully we'll be able to overcome it some way. When we first set out with the adoption, and I spoke to the adoption agencies and the British Embassy and everybody, we were led to believe that by far the most difficult part was going to be getting all the Korean side tied up and getting a Korean passport to enable us to take her out of the country. And when I spoke to the guy at the British Embassy, he was telling us that as far as the English side of things were concerned, was that he would have to write back to the Home Office in England and get the okay for the issue of a visa to be able to get her into England. But he did indicate to us that this was purely a formality, and that providing we allowed sufficient time, and he estimated it would be about 6 or 7 weeks, that there was no problem with this at all. Anyway, as I say, we got all the Korean side of things tied up, and the woman from the agency phoned me just last week to say she got the passport through, and it was my intention to go up to Seoul and pick it all up. So I thought, well, before I go up there, I'll make sure that the British side is now all finalised and I can do the whole lot all in one trip. Anyway, when I phoned the man I'd been dealing with at the British Embassy, he indicated that he got some bad news for me. And he then went on to say that he'd had an answer back from England, and that the Home Office had been in contact with the, I don't know which government department it is that deals with adoption and things, so is it the Social Welfare Ministry or something like that. Anyway, they were saying they weren't very happy with us taking a child back into England for adoption until they had themselves had the opportunity to interview us and, if you like, assess our suitability as adoptive parents. And it was being suggested that we go back to England by ourselves, leave Kimberly here, and once everything was sorted out back in England and they had decided that we were suitable for adopting a child, we could then get her sent out from Korea. Well, I mean, you can imagine what a shock this came to me on Friday just gone. And I told the man at the embassy, I said, well, look, this is, totally unacceptable. I said, we were told that it would only be a formality. I said, it's not as if if she was still in the orphanage now, I said, it wouldn't be too bad. I said, but she's been living with us for the last 2 months. I said, there's no way that we can go off to Korea, leave Korea, go off back to England, and leave her behind us here and take her back to the orphanage. I said it would be absolutely shattering. So he was saying that he had an indication from London that there was an alternative way round the problem, and that was all the studies and interviews that have been carried out by the Korean welfare workers here, by the Adoption Society people, that if an English translation of those was sent back to England, then the government department concerned could study them, and if they were satisfied with them, that would be okay, and that they would let us bring Kimberly in to England on the strength of as I say, the Korean reports. So this is what we're doing at the moment. The woman from the agency has made a translation and has sent it on to the embassy, and I've today sat down and written out a long letter to the, I suppose, to the Home Office or to the Social Welfare Department back in England, outlining the situation, and hopefully it'll all get sorted out. Because I mean, we've got 7 weeks left here now. I mean, it seems quite a long time, but it'll soon flash by, especially when people have to start exchanging letters backwards and forwards between here and England. But anyway, we're hopeful that everything will work out all right, because if it doesn't, and we can't get a visa to take her into England, then it's going to be an absolute disaster. I don't know what we'll do. But anyway, we're still optimistic and looking on the bright side, and we hope that everything will work out all right. But we'll keep you in touch with that anyway. You've probably heard Kimberly talking on the tape earlier. Obviously, she's been with us 2 months now, and I must admit, we are a little disappointed at her lack of progress in talking. She's certainly a changed girl since she came with us. She's very, very happy and very helpful, and a wonderful little girl. But she's certainly very, very slow in talking. She's got perhaps a vocabulary of maybe 6 or 8 words, that's all. I mean, she can't speak in any kind of sentences at all, just these single words that we know. And after 2 months, we are a little bit disappointed, because we were talking to some guy up in Seoul who adopted a little Korean girl, and he was telling us that after 3 months she spoke English sufficiently well to be able to go off to an English-speaking school. So we don't really know what the problem is, whether it's a psychological problem because of the her background, but something that is a bit worrying is that she doesn't really speak Korean. She jabbers away and makes lots of noises, but with Korean people, when we have Korean-speaking friends listening to her, they say, well, she isn't talking Korean, she's just making baby noises. So this is a bit of a worry to us, the fact that she's not learned to speak Korean, and we've put this down to her background and the fact that perhaps nobody has ever really paid her much attention or has spoken to her, so she's never had the opportunity to learn. And I suppose the fact that she's never had to learn to speak is perhaps a bit of a reason why she's not learning to speak English very quickly now. Anyway, we hope these are the reasons, and we hope there's nothing more serious. There's no indication that there's anything wrong with her from a mental point of view, because she's a very bright little girl in a lot of things she does. But it's, as I say, it is a bit of a worry, but people we've spoken to about it, and we've spoken to the American doctor, and we've spoken to an English doctor who's a missionary here in Masan, and they all seem to say, oh, don't bother about it, it'll all come, it'll all happen very quickly, and everything will be all right. So we're really trusting their judgment and keeping our fingers crossed that we're not going to have any long-term problem from this speaking point of view anyway. Anyway, leaving that subject behind now, I did say they still hadn't got a replacement for me at work, and in fact that's still the situation. And just last week we had all the bigwigs come out from England for a board of directors meeting out here, and we had to, the 3 of us who were out here had to give a presentation to the board meeting, really a review of our first year's operation and our plans for the second year. And there was quite a lot of discussion at the time I was there about this situation, no replacement. But anyway, after we left, and then there was the more detailed board discussion, this subject obviously came up. But the following day I made some inquiries as to see what the situation was exactly, because I wanted to know whether indeed there was a possibility that I might be asked to stay on even further. And I made it quite clear that if this was the case, and I wanted to know quickly, I didn't want to go ahead and be making plans to go home and then about you know, just as we were about to step on the aeroplane, someone come up and say, would we stop on a bit further? But what they said was that yes, it would be very easy, and the easy way out to ask me to stop on a bit longer and, you know, to provide the necessary cover. But they felt that while they were doing this, it wasn't really putting pressure on the Korean management here to face up to their responsibilities and take on a man. So they had decided, you know, not to ask me to stay on, really to put pressure on the local people here. Well, as I was saying before, we were so rudely interrupted. They're putting pressure on the local people, and in fact this week they've been carrying out a lot of interviews to try to get somebody to take over from me. But there is a contingency plan that if by the time I leave they haven't got anybody, then the guy who was originally the general manager but has since been demoted to the administrator and in charge of personnel and in charge of the general office, they do plan that he should take over the responsibilities for production. So it does seem now quite clearly that we will be coming home, leaving here at the end of August, with no possibility of us stopping on beyond that. So I think that's very definite now from the discussions that I've had with the directors in this last week, and I think we're very glad of that. We've had a good time here, and but I think the year and 2 months will be plenty enough for us. I know Jane's looking forward to getting home very much, and I am. I think to some extent the novelty has started to wear off a little bit, and certainly the work situation, I enjoyed the first year very much, but I think that now that production has been established and got going, it's going to just settle down into a bit of a routine, and so I'll be glad to get back home and get my job sorted out at Sudbury and see where we go from there. So we're all looking forward to it very much. Anyway, as I say, we plan to leave here on the end of August. I've then got 6 weeks vacation coming, and we're going to spend most of that time, I think we'll probably spend about a week in Hawaii, and then we're planning to go to America and spend maybe about 4 weeks in America. I know it's a wonderful opportunity for us to see America, and what we were planning to do in fact was to hire a car and to spend 3 or 4 weeks, you know, just cruising around as the fancy takes us, taking in as many places as we can, but just having quite a leisurely time. Our thoughts were that if we try to get around too much in America and go to too many places, you know, and relying on public transport and aeroplanes and trains and buses, especially with the 3 children and all the luggage that we'll be carrying, we really came to the opinion it would just develop into hard work, and we thought the most leisurely type of holiday we could have was really to hire a car, stick all the suitcases in the back, and then just cruise around. As I say, we can stop off if we come to somewhere nice, stay off 2 or 3 days, and then perhaps spend a day driving off to somewhere else, spend another 2 or 3 days, and just trying to make it as leisurely as possible. And Jane and I both think that this is the best way to do it once we get to America. We'll fly across the Pacific from Hawaii and probably go into Los Angeles or San Francisco, and then perhaps over a 3 or 4 week period try to make our way across America and perhaps finish up in the Florida area, which is on the east coast, you know, the Atlantic side of America. And if we can finish up there, I do believe that Laker has now started flights from Miami in Florida, so we may, with a bit of luck, be able to get a cheap flight home from Miami back to England. And we would expect to arrive back in England probably at the end of September, you know, during the last week of September, I would think. Now that's going to mean obviously that the boys will miss about 3 or 4 weeks school, but I think they'll catch that pretty well. And once we get back, of course, the company will put us into a hotel, so we'll probably move into a hotel somewhere in Sudbury or maybe Colchester, and they'll hire us a car and generally help us out while we get settled back in. There'll obviously be things to do. We'll have to get over to the house and make sure that's all clean and tidy, and then once we're satisfied with that, we'll get our furniture out of storage. If our timing goes right, all the stuff we've got over here should get back to England about the end of September. So we'll obviously have quite a lot to do, I would think, for a week or a couple of weeks. I'll probably have to go into work a bit of that time, but I understand that I can have all the time off that I need in order for us to get sorted out. So I'm glad it's no later than that, because obviously we'll be doing this in early October, which in England is really starting to move into winter, and I wouldn't want it to be too late in the year while we're getting all this sorted out. But anyway, there are our plans very broadly, and as long as we don't have any hitches, that should all go very nicely. Anyway, obviously we'll keep in touch with you while we're still here in Korea, and then you'll probably get some postcards from us letting you know where we are as we're touring around. And what I'll try to do is that when I'm in America, I'll try to telex back to the Sudbury factory to let them know exactly when we'll be coming back, so they can arrange transport for us at the airport and a hotel booking and everything. And I will ask them if they'll pass the necessary information on to you as well, so that you'll know exactly when we are due back. Oh yes, and Jane's saying you'll let Judith know, of course, you know, so that both sides of the family will know exactly what the situation is. Anyway, we don't know if you've been over to Leavenheath at all since our tenant left. I believe he was due to leave on June the 21st. We did in fact write to the agency once we knew we were going to be staying on a bit, and suggested to him that he could stay on if he wanted, but I believe that by that time he had already made alternative arrangements. He did say last year that if there was any chance of extending the tenancy, he would be pleased to do so, but of course, you know, during about April and May time, I wrote to him and told him that we'd be coming back on schedule and that he should make arrangements to leave at the end of the year. So I was rather annoyed when this 8-week extension came up at very late notice, and of course he's been out now since June, which means by the time we get back our house will have stood empty for about 3 months. But anyway, I wrote to Tom Clampin, who's been looking after the garden all the time we've been away, explained the situation to him, and I put him a cheque in the post, and we've had a letter back from him saying that he'll be only too pleased to carry on looking after the garden while we're away and until we get back. So that's one big worry out of the way. We're a little bit concerned obviously about the house and the condition that it's been left in, and Jane has written to the agency and to Judith authorising Judith to pick up a key, and we have, in various correspondence we've sent, suggested to Judith that she might leave the key with Mr. and Mrs. Rowe next door, so that if anybody, you know, either you or Judith or maybe John Fowler or somebody went over to the house for any reason, you'd be able to pick up the key, and it would always be there on hand, rather than if Judith hung on to it and kept it, you would have some difficulty if you'd want to go over there at all. I know that Judith did, in one of her letters to Jane, say that she'd be happy to clean the place up and make it habitable for us when we get home, but we really have no idea at all what it's like, so we're obviously keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that there's not too many things wrong. One thing in particular, that if you do go over there, you might check out for us, Mum and Dad, is the refrigerator. We know from our own experience when we go away on holiday at any time that you empty the fridge out and turn it off and then close the door, but if in fact there are any little traces of food left inside, then with the refrigerator turned off and the door sealed tight, any little spots of food or little bits of grease anywhere in there do go mouldy. So we would like somebody at some time or another, if they go over there, to check that the fridge has been left properly, which should be obviously turned off, properly cleaned out, and with the door left open. Because with the circulation of air that you then get inside, you don't get any problems with anything going mouldy inside. Anyway, to change the subject a bit, Jane mentioned about the heat, but in fact we haven't had any high temperatures at all, which is quite surprising. We're now obviously at the end of the first week in July, and I know, yes please my dear, and this time last year it was really getting very sticky and very humid. I know that was before Jane arrived, but my memories of the 3 or 4 weeks that I was here before she came was that I had a clammy shirt most of the time. But certainly over the last couple of weeks, that's been very cool. I won't say cold, because the temperature has been, in the early 70s, which is warm for England. But I think this last year it was up into the 80s out here. So obviously as the days go by and the temperature keeps down, we don't mind too much at all. It hasn't been very sticky at all. And although today, as I say, it's been raining, and I think that pushed the humidity up a bit, but it's been not too bad at all. So, yeah, that's right. Jane's pouring me a drink. That makes a bit of a change. So, but anyway,
trying to get me to make him a cup of tea this morning, but I stayed in bed.
I'm now that Jane's poured me this drink, I'm just finishing now, and Jane's going to come on and say a few words about some of her bowling achievements. But I think that's I'm sure her sporting activities when she gets back home will be somewhat curtailed, and I've said we've got to perhaps change our lifestyle a little bit. I think one of the biggest things we'll have to get used to is not spending so much money. I'd say with the additional money that we've had available to us out here, my increased salary, and obviously that we've been, buying lots of stuff to bring back home, presents and various items that we can get out here cheaper than back home. Particularly clothes, I'd say children's clothes we bought a lot, and things for ourselves, anoraks and sports shoes and things like that. Very, very cheap out here. And we've been spending a lot of money. And I suppose as well, being as it's foreign money, either the Korean won or the American dollar, you get the impression you're almost playing Monopoly, and it doesn't seem like real money at all. So I'm sure that when we get back home and get back to my English salary with all the income tax, and we have to start counting the pennies again, it'll be quite a jolt for us.
Very sad.
So I've told Jane that she can forget about buying any new clothes for about the next 4 years at least. And I think we've probably got enough to keep the children going for that time as well. The only person who hasn't got much is only his poor old dad.
Don't you believe it? He's had about 6 dozen suits made.
It's the same as on the photographs. You'll always notice any photographs you see, the one who's missing out the whole time is Dad, who's holding the camera. And when the shopping's going on, it's poor old Dad holding the purse. He's the only one who doesn't get anything bought for him.
And the real reason you haven't any photographs is because you don't trust me with the camera. You say I always chop your head off. You remember Dad, he was always telling me off for doing that.
Anyway, I'm going to sit back and have a little rest now, and Jane's going to continue having the natter with you.
What he means is get quietly drunk. Anyway, my bowling achievements. Not that they're very much really, but as you know, I was very new to all this. And we had a dinner at the end of the bowling season to give out all the prizes. Well, I'd been in a hot contest with a girl in the same team as myself for the most improved player. Well, I mean, I couldn't get any worse, and to be a little bit improved is pretty good for me. Anyway, it was a very close competition, and every week they used to bring round the scores and everybody knew exactly what sort of prize they were in line for. But on the last 2 or 3 weeks they kept the most improved players prize very quiet, kept on putting a question mark in that particular column. So it obviously was supposed to just be a surprise at the dinner. The team I was actually playing in, it was obvious from the start that we were going to win. We had no close competitors during the whole of the season. So we could have played for another 4 or 5 weeks and lost every game and still come out top. But that was because I was playing on a very low, well, a very high handicap, because I was a new player and not very good. And I was playing quite well, so we were getting high marks for a high handicap I mean, all very confusing, plus extra points for the fact that we were doing well too. Anyway, in the end, I had 3 prizes, and no one was more surprised than I. We had the dinner, and then all the envelopes came round for all the various prizes. I got one for being a member of the top team, just 3 of us in the team. And then the Improvers Prize was announced, and my name came out for that one. And there was a big round of applause. And I must admit, I was very surprised I had got it, because I thought Lisa had just got the edge on me. But anyway, I just pulled through. And I got, what was the prize for? I forget. Oh, highest game with handicap. I got a prize for that, so that was the 3rd prize. In fact, I was the only person that got 3 prizes. And that particular prize means that with my high handicap, being a poor player, I got a very high game. So I was the only one that really... Oh, how can I explain? It's very difficult.
Well, you got the highest score with your handicap.
I got the highest score with my high handicap, which is pretty good. But that was just the one game. But that brought me $14, which is equivalent to about £7. In fact, altogether I earned about $40, so I didn't do too badly. Now I shall tell you where I've put the money. Believe it or not, I haven't bought any shoes since I've been in Korea, because I cannot get any to fit my feet. The Koreans have fairly small feet, for one thing. I will say that in my favour. But my feet are very wide.
But you don't let Jane fool you. She couldn't get any shoes to fit her back home in England either.
No, don't take any notice of Douglas. My feet. Douglas has never liked my feet, Mum. You know he's always complained about them. Anyway, I gave up, and I really needed some light summer shoes. So I walked into the shoe shop one day. I'd seen a pair of shoes I liked in the window, and I said I'd like to try them on. And as usual, they were about 3 inches too short. My heel was gaping over the edge and not wide enough around the broad part of my foot. So he said, no problem. I will get you a pair. And I didn't know how or where, but he suddenly brought this piece of paper, and he told me to put my foot on it. And he drew around my foot. Well, he should have, when I took my foot off, he should have seen the shape. I was absolutely horrified. Anyway, he said, 1 week, you come, pair of shoes. So I thought, perhaps he's sending off for a special factory for outsized feet. Anyway, on coming home, I had a word with some of the people that Douglas does English conversation lessons with, and I showed them the deposit that I paid in the shop, and they said, oh, that's a custom-made shop. They make them to measure. And they're all leather shoes. And I said there were 20,000 won, which is what, £16, Douglas? 16 sterling? 16 sterling pounds. And for this you get a leather pair of shoes made to measure, which is pretty good, because as you know, Mum, you can't even get an ordinary leather pair of shoes in England now for much less than £16, let alone made to measure. Anyway, so I went back a week later, and they've had to go back for a little bit more alteration. But the time they can do it, he said to me, come back next morning. And the whole shoes only just took a week to get done. So anyway, that was quite a surprise to me. But let's hope next time they come back they do fit. I can't really think of anything. I seem to write so many letters these days that when I come to talk on a tape, I can't think of any new news. We haven't really said much about our holiday in Gyeongju. It really was a fantastic place. The hotel was very luxurious, and we just had this one large room, very large in fact. There was enough room for 2 double beds. And we put 2 yos, which are English type mattresses for the boys, and Kimberly slept on a settee, and they all slept very well, and they went down very well, and we went out in the evenings without any worries at all, and came back and they were still sound asleep. The swimming pools were fantastic. Ben and Sam spent most of the time in the indoor pool. It was much warmer and did very well. There was an indoor bowling alley, so we had to go on that, but it was a bit rickety, but it just about worked. And there were some very pretty villages. This particular place had to be kept in traditional Korean architecture, so even the hotel was built in the traditional Korean style, so it's a very picturesque place. And we had some beautiful meals at various places we tried, and it was so quiet because the tourist trade hadn't picked up at all, and we virtually had the dining rooms and the swimming pools to ourselves. It was really really excellent. The only pity was it only lasted 3 days. We are hoping that at the end of our stay here, when all our furniture has all been packed up, that we will be put into a hotel, of course, for 2 or 3 days, but we're hoping that they'll put us into the Chosun Beach Hotel, which is not the usual hotel to put expatriates in. The usual one is a local one, which is pretty diabolical, a dirty old swimming pool, and the food has the same menu it had a year ago when Douglas first arrived, in fact, because that was where he was staying. And we are hoping that if we say we'll just have the one room again for the 5 of us, that they'll put us in the Chosun Beach Hotel for, say, 4 days, rather than having a week with 2 rooms in the local hotel. We're hoping that's the way we get round it, because the children will have no toys to play with, and the Chosun Beach Hotel is right on the beach, although it will be very hot. But it also has, does it have 2 swimming pools? It does, doesn't it? An indoor and an outdoor one.
Mm-hmm. It's got indoor.
Well, I think it has downstairs, unless I'm thinking of another hotel we've been in. Is it? Or perhaps it was a house I was thinking of. Yeah. Anyway, so it's definitely got one outdoor pool anyway. And it's all air conditioned and it's beautifully clean and the food is fantastic. So we're just hoping the company will let us do that. Because to end our stay in Korea in the local hotel would be pretty awful. In fact, we spent so much of our time eating out and going to hotels at the beginning of the holiday and during the year, and we will at the end of the holiday, that is making me very, very lazy, I'm afraid. But I suppose I shall settle down to my normal routine when I get back to England, but somehow at the moment I don't feel as though I ever will settle down. But people keep on assuring me that I will, but it will take time. Kimberly, of course, will, although she is 5, well, she isn't really 5, we were given 5, but we've been told since that she is a lot younger than that. So as there's a lot of uncertainty, we're taking it that she's 3.5 to 4, and that seems to be pretty safe from what she can achieve practically. So it would give me a year in England to spend a bit of time with her, because there would be no point in sending her to an English school with a little knowledge of the language. So perhaps a few weeks at play school and a few precious hours spent at home each day will give her the confidence of being with other children. And well, I think we both think this is a good idea, that she must have a year at home. So let's hope it all works out. Whatever happens, she's obviously going to be a lot better off with us and left here, because as I've said in my letters, the orphanages in Korea are pretty awful. They wouldn't be tolerated in England, not in any form. The food or the living conditions or the education provided, they're just non-existent to the people just cannot afford to look after their orphanages. So in fact, as we were saying earlier, Lynn has just decided that she's going to adopt. You've heard us mention Lynn. She's going to adopt a little girl now wants her help on all the processes that one has to go through to achieve adoption in Korea. So this is what we must do with her next week. So it looks as though another little girl will have a secure home too. Well, I'll finish now, Mum and Dad, because I want to leave a little space for Samuel to finish off in the morning to see if he'll feel a little better to do his reading. Okay, so I'll say goodbye for now, and we can't say a final bye-bye at the end of the tape. Okay? Bye for now.
Well, just the last word from me, and as Jane says, we want to leave a bit of space for the boys in the morning. You've heard us say when we've spoken to you before how well we've eaten out here, and the food that we sent out here when we came a year ago has been an absolute godsend, and we're just getting to the last of it now. Our last couple of tins of salmon and baked beans and things like that. But funnily enough, with Tom and Trix coming back out here again, they've shipped a load more food out here. That was one of the conditions that they laid down when they come out here again. And so with us stopping an extra 8 weeks, I telexed them while they were in England to say could they put a few things in for us. A couple of tins of ham and some corned beef and 1 or 2 things like that. So they said yes they would, and that shipment should have arrived last week. But talk about sod's law, the shipment has gone astray and has gone to Japan rather than Korea. So Tom is frantically trying to get it back, and I only hope that the few tins of goodies that we've got coming with that in fact get here before we leave, just to so that we don't have to revert to rice and kimchi and dried fish before we come. They're some of the local Korean delicacies. Anyway, I'll sign off now, Mum and Dad, to leave a bit of space for the boys and Kimberly, and I'm sure they want to say a couple of things in the morning. We're looking forward to seeing you very much indeed. It won't be long now, and I'm sure it'll really fly by. So you keep looking after yourself. Make sure you're well stocked up with everything ready for the winter by the time we get home. As I say, don't work too hard, and you make sure you keep both of you in good health. Anyway, we've missed you very much, but it won't be long now, and we'll see you end of September. Bye then. Bye.
Right, hello Nan and Grandad, it's morning now and we've just got up and Samuel is going to do a little bit of reading. But first of all they want to say hello to you.
Hello, Nana. Good morning, Nana.
Here's Kimberly, say hello Nana.
Hello, Nana.
That was very good, Kimberly. Now, Samuel, would you just like to have a little read from your Nayland school book today?
Yes.
Okay, off you go then, darling.
Here is Mammy. She is working in the house. Can you draw Mammy working in the house? Right, Mammy is working in the house.
That's fine, Sammy. Sorry that sounds a bit rushed, Nana, but we're running out of tape and I told him to be as quick as he could. Now I think Benjamin wants to say a few words. Do you, Benjamin?
Hello, Nana and Grandad. We are looking forward to a holiday raid in America, and we are going to wonder how Kimberly's going to feel on the first aeroplane ride.
Yes, we're all looking forward to seeing the reaction on Kimberly's face when she steps into that great big aeroplane, aren't we, Benjamin?
Well, hello Mum and Dad. I just popped in from lunch now. It's the Monday. The man bringing this tape back is leaving this afternoon, so we're going to wind off now, all say bye-bye, and we'll be seeing you in about, I suppose, 11 weeks from now. Okay, love to you both. Bye-bye Mum, bye-bye Dad.
Bye-bye, Mum and Dad. Bye-bye, Nana and Grandad. We look forward to seeing you in 1980.
Right, bye-bye, Mum and Dad. We'll be soon seeing you now. Bye-bye, Nana. Kimberly.
Come on, bye-bye Nana.
Bye-bye, Nana.
Bye-bye Grandad.
Bye-bye, Nana.
You say it again.
Okay.
Samuel's going to say it again because he got a bit confused.
Bye-bye, Nana.
Bye-bye, Grandad.
Bye-bye, Grandad.
Come on, all together. Bye.
Bye-bye, Grandad and Nana.
Bye-bye.
I nearly got you. You can't trip me out.
I'm surprised we've got that much tape in it. Well, that'll have to be all now, Nana and Grandad, because we're going to run out of time. Sammy's a little slow at reading, but then I think this time last year Benjamin was exactly the same. It didn't really help that I was rushing a bit because I was afraid of running out of the tape. Anyway, I think Benjamin has a little something he'd like to say to you now. Have you, Benjamin?
Yes.
Come on, be quick, darling. Move out the way, Kimberly,
Hello,
love.
Nana and Grandad. I just want to tell you how Kimberly has been in and out of the orphanage. We've been having her for a week. After the week, we've been having her for 3 weeks. Then we've been putting her
Then we
back
had
in
to take
the
her back, didn't we,
Yes.
Dave? That's right. But now we've got her for good, haven't we?
Now we've got her for